What is going on, community? What is going on, people of Earth? I am TJ, aka Flash by Night, and we are catching up with a special comic tonight. Tonight we are catching up with Tomb of Dracula, issue number 17. Now, if you are wondering why I picked this random comic, really quick story. I did a challenge for the Bearded and Cole's comic cover challenge. It was a spooky cover challenge in which Tomb of Dracula 17 was one of my 10 entries. And in that video, I said, I'll be honest, I haven't cracked this open yet, but apparently Blade gets bitten by Dracula in this book. So I'm gonna have to crack it open sometime. Fast forward a few days, and I am on Gary B's 1011 show, where you come on and you show 12 books, 10 regular books you like, a spec pick, and a book with a story. But his co-host was Pocan Joe, well-known community member, well-known for having his evil dungeon, his evil lair, cooking up all kinds of goodies down there. But Pocan Joe called me on my BS. He said the Emperor has no clothes. He exposed me as a charlatan. He asked, had I read it yet? And I was like, no, not yet. So here we are, having read Tomb of Dracula issue number 17, and we are going to review it. So Dracula, king of the undead, evil personified, immortal, lives for ages, either kills people or brings them into his vampire horde. All of these things that we have heard for years. But Tomb of Dracula 17 is just about a man trying to get home. So Tomb of Dracula number 17 starts with Dracula after a night of doing who knows what, because this is my first entry into Tomb of Dracula. He may have been doing all kinds of consuming before I picked this book up. But on this night, he is looking for one of his 4 coffins in and around Europe so that he can rest. The sun is about to rise in a little while, and so he needs to bunker down for the night because he has important things to do tomorrow. But as you can see, when he gets to his coffin, he has a problem because there's no one else staked out there other than Blade the vampire hunter. And so Blade has come here for his pound of flesh. He comes here to kill Dracula, and he also lets Dracula know that he knows where Dracula's 4 coffins are, and he has vampire hunters staked out at the 3 other coffins, so there's nowhere for Dracula to run. He has to get what's coming to him. And as you can see here, they engage in some quick hand-to-hand. They fought each other a little bit, but Dracula eventually got the best of Blade and even bit a chunk out of him and said he was going to leave Blade to die. And that's where we actually leave Blade in this issue. But lo and behold, there is a nearby farmer who Dracula has had some kind of control over for like the last 30 years. And this farmer is hiding Dracula's secret 5th coffin so Dracula can get his rest. Because Dracula is on the way to catch the train to try and get back home to Transylvania. But that was just the start of Blade's night. So, on this train, there are several interesting people. There are these 2 individuals, Granite and Gruber, basically having this case with documents in it that they are trying to get from point A to point B, trying to hide from anyone who would try and take this case, including a certain passenger on this train that we've already met. Also, there is Frank Drake, I think it is. Frank Drake and Rachel Van Helsing. Apparently Frank Drake is of some relationship to Dracula, and Rachel Van Helsing is a Van Helsing. They are also looking for Dracula. Tonight is going to be a long night. And if you don't believe tonight is going to be a long night, Dracula even passes by, but doesn't interact with Jack Russell, as we know him, Werewolf by Night. I guess they'll see each other down the road, but strange company rides on the same trains, I guess. We also have this Dr. Sun character who, for some reason, is training and grooming vampires to do something in the future. We don't get a whole lot of details on what Dr. Sun is doing, but we do get his name a little bit later in this story. Eventually, Gruber and Granite decide they're going to go on the offensive. They're not just going to let Dracula come and take their case and take their documents. And Gruber is the first to try to take the fight to Dracula, and Gruber finds the outside of the train the hard way. We also get, of course, a little bit of action between Van Helsing, Drake, and Dracula, which doesn't end too badly, but he does end that fight and escape in time to run into Granite, who has the case, and Granite knows he can't fight Dracula for this case, and so Granite basically just jumps from the train himself. But this is strategic because Granite is jumping from the train at a point where a rendezvous was to come and get the case and the documents. Anyway, funny thing is, Dracula has no idea who Granite is and has no idea about this case and these documents, which will eventually go to Dr. Sun for some reason. But in the end, we end up with Dracula deciding that it is safer for him as a bat just to try and fly the rest of the way to Transylvania. And we also get the promise of a future encounter with Werewolf by Night. And that is what I got from Tomb of Dracula number 17. Interesting little story. Even though it was issue number 17, and I didn't know some of the players, I didn't know some of the situations, I could kind of jump into this book and read this as a one and done story. Most of it I agree with, I liked. There was one thing that Dracula did that did make a whole lot of sense to me. It feels like he knows better. He even goes out of his way to say that he knew better. But running into all of these characters, Van Helsing, Blade, Drake, who is, I think, like a great-grandson of Dracula, who he wanted to actually take the mantle sometime in the future, was great. What's going to happen with Dr. Sun? I don't know. I'm betting that someone here knows what happens between Dracula and Werewolf by Night. If you know, let me know. Drop me a comment down in the comments. But I hope you enjoyed yourself. I hope you saw something you liked. If you did enjoy yourself, go ahead, hit that like button. And if you want to catch up with me, reading random comics because somebody called me on my BS, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Of course, feel free to leave comments. And as we always do at this time, love yourself, love others, and I will be back in a flash.